right, let's move on. We're going to talk next about rumors. Rumors are all we have these days, people. We got to talk about stuff that might happen instead of stuff that is actually happening. And the latest rumor that came out this week was that Gran Turismo 7 is in development. But, we all knew that. We all know that sequels to gigantic franchises are in development as soon as the prior game finishes. So that's not the revelation. The revelation was that it's planned for this year. So when we for play, and also it's a PlayStation 5 exclusive. And the reason we're talking about this and not just dismissing it as another piece of crap rumor that's floating around the internet is because this rumor was started on accident by one of PlayStation's partners. So Polyphony Digital, the developer that creates Gran Turismo, they have a ton of licensees. So all the companies that they get parts for that you use to then build your car inside the game, they license those parts from licensees. And a Cockpit licensee went on Twitter and said that Gran Turismo, a new Gran Turismo, is coming this year and is coming for a PlayStation 5. Okay. And it's so Sony obviously...
So basically a Tony Hawk Pro Skater situation here.
Yeah, you had an insider who had probably really reliable information, not realizing the enormity of what they're doing. I mean, that's really the problem here. Mm-hmm. It's like if these people knew that it was a big deal, they probably wouldn't mention it. But to them, it's like, they don't care. They're like, it doesn't matter to them. So I'm surprised, honestly. And I'll be perfectly honest, and I do mention this in SIFTD HQ today. I don't believe this rumor. I think that the licensee has been working with Polyphony on the game, and maybe Polyphony at one point was like, we're targeting 2020 for this game, but I don't believe it at all, in honesty. They're still cranking out tons of DLC for a Gran Turismo Sport. And look, Polyphony is a pretty big team, so they can start speccing out the next game and still do DLC for the old game. But the biggest part for me, honestly, is that it's Polyphony. Polyphony Digital never gets games done quickly, like ever.
Like their reputation is actually a little exaggerated. Like it was only 3 years between, because 4 was the first PS3 one, right? Yep. 4 was the one that took like 6 years.
Yeah.
It was only like three.
I can understand that.
It was only like 3 years between that and 5. And then it was like 4 years between 5 and 6. And then like 3 years between 6 and Sport. Or something like that. Or whatever. Maybe it's 5 and Sport. I can't remember what the numbers they're up to anymore. Because Sport wasn't numbered, so that's not GT7. This is coming one of GT7. It's been 3 years since GT Sport. It's possible. I don't care about a Gran Turismo. I haven't actually played one since 5, I think. I've always found them a little sterile, and once Forza came along, like there was just no reason for me to play GT anymore. I kind of halfway buy this. Like it would be a decent launch. They know by now ahead of time that Microsoft's going to launch with Forza, so it would be like a direct head-to-head competition between the big driving games from system to system at launch. I kind of buy it. Like there's enough time if Polyphony's kind of gotten their stuff together to like get that on target, and it would be a smart launch lineup choice to kind of compete with Forza 7. Is it Forza 7 or Forza 8? Forza 8. It would be good planning. I don't know Polyphony, like you say, I don't know if Polyphony can get that together that fast, and it might be old information because who knows how often parts licensees are updated about things. But it wouldn't shock me if it turned out to be true. I bet we'll find out soon.
Yeah, we should. I mean, it has been 3 years?
3 years.
Sport? Yeah. I mean, that's enough time, but like you said, like it has sometimes taken Polyphony like over half a decade.
Well, it took them 6 years for the first PS3 one. And
with the cell. And I'll give them a little bit of leeway with that for sure.
And it took them a little longer than expected for 5. I mean, that's the thing is like the first GT on a new system does seem to take them a while. And we'll see. I mean, they've done stuff like put out like the GT prologues, which are sort of like, hey, here's basically a demo to shut you up while we finish the game for 2 more years kind of thing. So that could also be part of it. Or maybe there's a GT Sport upgrade for PS5, a PS5 version of that or something, and this guy just didn't fully know what he was talking about. Like, there's a lot of possibilities here, but the idea that they would want a GT in that launch lineup does make a fair amount of sense, and I think there's been enough time elapsed since Sport that they could have shifted to new development and kept like a team on the DLC. And Polyphony's a pretty big company, and God knows they take up enough money from Sony every year. So I'm not gonna totally dismiss this one. Like, it feels like there's got to be something there. There's too much. The fact that it came from someone that clearly doesn't know any better than to not talk about it makes me feel like something's in the works in there. I mean, we knew something's in the works anyway, but the fact that he thought it was this year, I'll give that kind of like a 30-40% chance of happening.
I mean, the company could be looking at it like, okay, we've worked with Polyphony before on one of these games. I mean, they could be what I'm saying is they could just be extrapolating. They could be like, okay, they reached out to us at this point on the last game, and then it came out later that year. They just reached out to us now, so I'm assuming that it's coming out this year.
That seems like a real big leap. Like, it seems way more likely that this guy just knew information from the licensing deal and just said it without thinking. Like,
now, here's one thing that's,
and it could have been, like you said, it could have been just somewhere in that deal there was the number 2020 was in there, and that's all he remembered. But like, I don't know, like, enough time has passed that it's not impossible.
Now, I think the company has come out and said, oh, we were wrong. Or, of course, they're going to do that. I mean, Sony obviously went to them and was like, bro, like, you're risking your business by doing this. Like, we could cut you as a licensee.
Right. And let's be honest, we know how seriously to take that kind of stuff and those official denials of things when rumors said, and we'll get to that in the next subject too. Yeah. But it's just, they're going through the usual rigmarole because Sony's going to want to debut that in their own way. And if it is in the pipeline for this year, I'm sure we'll see it in the next month or so. You want
to know what really surprised me about? I was researching for this topic, so I was going back and like looking through a lot of the GT Sport stuff, and I started like digging into the sales for GT Sport. And for whatever reason, I had thought it had sold pretty poorly because it was one of those games that showed up the first month on MPDs and then disappeared and never showed up again. And so I started digging into the sales, and in the first like 5 or 6 months, it sold 3.3 million. And now Sony is claiming that currently there are almost 9 million active players playing Gran Turismo Sport. I'm shocked by that. Shocked. I don't know anyone who's played it. I don't know anyone who still plays it. I didn't hear anyone talking about it. Now I do get.
Also, it sold like 10 million copies. It seems weird that like there would still be 9 million of those people still playing it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to say that they're making it up or whatever. I have no idea. It just seems weird to me based upon anecdotal evidence. I don't know anyone who really liked Gran Turismo Sport who were old GT fans. They were like, it's all right. But in all honesty, it just feels like other franchises have just lapped it. Like, I don't get excited for Gran Turismo anymore. I used to back in its first like 3 entries. I think A-Spec was the last one that I got really, really excited for. And then, Forza Horizon or Forza Motorsport started coming out, and like even its first entry could kind of compete with Gran Turismo. And look, I know that Forza Motorsport does not sell anywhere near as well as Gran Turismo. So if you want to say the proof is in the pudding in the sales, totally get that. But personally, I feel like Forza Motorsport is the superior franchise at this point.
Yeah. Well, I also feel Forza has and always from the beginning has captured sort of the verve and the excitement and the experience of driving and the sort of the love of cars that kind of goes along with being an automotive enthusiast. And like GT has always just felt really sterile to me.
It's just boring. I know. It's like I don't want it to be like this. I don't want it to become Forza Horizon.
No,
I don't want it to become an arcade racer or anything.
But like, act like you're interested once in a while. Like it's like the menus even are just so like I can't remember which one it was. It was just white. It was just like this empty white void with text on it, and you're like, this. I know they think they're being kind of clean and minimalist and stuff, but like I've even as someone who has my own issues with the Top Gear boys, having those guys, Clarkson and those guys in there, like waxing philosophical about like backstories of the cars while you looked at like just like the the enthusiasm you get from someone who really loves cars is there in everything Turn 10 makes, and polyphony is just, it feels so mathematical in a really sterile way.
I mean, I would argue Forza Motorsport is very sterile and boring too, but
it can be.
It's a step above Gran Turismo, at least. Neither one of them are really like exciting games.
No, it doesn't feel as assembly line to me as GT does.
I'd agree with that. And then, Gran Turismo was really slow to come around to vehicle damage because, they kept saying that the licensees didn't want it. And then
or they said they couldn't model it properly. And then everyone's like, no, we did it. It's right there. Like,
everyone else has done it.
Our damage would be way more physics-based. It's like, bro, just make the car dent. Like, no one cares. We just don't want everything to look quite so much like it's made out of, like, invincible plastic.
Yep. Are you excited about Gran Turismo anymore, Matt?
Oh God, no! I'll never play that game.
Me either.
Like, it's I got room in my life for like one driving game every couple of years, and it's going to be Forza. And I don't even know if it's going to be Forza this time. Like I feel like Horizon.
Because that's coming for launch of Xbox Series X.
But I feel like Horizon gives me what I need in terms of like a driving game every once in a while, and take care. Like I don't need much more than that.
Mitch, what's your experience or take on Gran Turismo? Have you played it at all?
Yeah, I played, was it 4? 4 was the one to first come out for PlayStation 3, right?
I believe so.
Okay, I played that one, and I would agree with you both in the sense of it's very lifeless. It just doesn't...
No energy.
Exactly, and I think the marketing doesn't help that. It kind of sells its simulation, which it is a great simulator.
It is.
But if you really don't... If that's not the thing that's appealing to you, you're not going to have interest. And that's the thing that made me lose interest. I could buy that there are 9 million active users because it was free on PlayStation Plus. For
that's a good point.
So it did bring in some users.
And that is also what they're saying. They're saying 9 million players. They're not saying that we've sold 9 million copies of the game. They're saying that we have 9 million players. So that does actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that it was free for a while.
Yeah. So there's that. And I think the thing that Forza may have above, like, even though Forza is another type of simulator, it's got a tone to it where it's exciting and fun. And I mean, I could even point to the DLC with the Lego DLC. That trailer itself sells you on the game. When you go to play it, it may not be exactly what you think it is with the trailer, but at least the trailer is exciting to watch and gets you hyped about the game. I believe that it could come out this year. I think they had plenty of time, and I'd be interested to see if they try a tone change. That would be kind of fresh.
I would be really surprised, but pleasantly surprised if that happened, because we've been complaining about this for a while, and it just doesn't seem to budge Polyphony at all.
Yeah, I think Polyphony considers its sterility to be basically its brand.
Yeah, you may be right. Because I think
that's a feature, not a bug to them.
That might be. Here's another thing about it too, and I will give them props for this: is that there are now, I believe, 2 drivers who started out in esports for Gran Turismo who are now real race drivers. In fact, the first guy who did it, he's like one of the best real drivers in the world right now. And he learned how to drive playing Gran Turismo. So, when we talk about, it's a rigid it is. And some people absolutely love it for that. It's so much of a simulation that it can be used as a tool to help people become real professional drivers. So, again, it's one of those different strokes for different folks type things. It's not for me. It's not for Matt. It's probably not for Mitch, but there's obviously a ton of people out there that love exactly what it offers. And they would probably be pissed off if they changed it to what we're asking for. I hate to say it. But
I don't want it to be more of an arcade game. I just want them to like wake up a little bit, like acknowledge that cars are fun. Yeah, that's the thing that Forza has over them in terms of tone and presentation, is they acknowledge that this stuff's fun. Like, it's not just there's a lot of math and science to it, but it's not just that. There's also like being out on the road and like enjoying like your favorite car, and it captures Forza captures that as well as it captures sort of the competition and the tuning idea. And it's not as detailed a simulation as GT is, because that's Polyphony's bread and butter. But I don't think being like a really detailed simulation like precludes also like having some fun with it in terms of like presenting it and talking about how like awesome some of these things are and how cool it is.
I think the thing, Matt, you actually almost hit it, was I think the thing that helps Forza is they have two different versions. They have Forza, regular Forza, which is more of a simulator, and they have Horizon, which is a little more fun, and it kind of mixes it up for people so that it's not feeling like it's the same tone all the time when you look at a Forza game.
Yeah, but I'm not even talking about Horizon. I'm just talking about motorsport. Horizon's a completely different thing.
Yeah, like Horizon's an arcade racing game.
Yeah, Horizon is just like a fun spin-off. Like I'm just purely talking about the motorsport main series. Like they have more verve and more celebration of being a car fan in those games than GT has, and it's in one of them than GT has in its entire series combined. So that to me is like, if I'm going to play a more simmy driving game, it's going to be something that has that verve to it and isn't just like a series of menus with a really detailed sim propping them up. Yeah, and I think Sony I don't think it's just Polyphony. Like Sony's driving games in general have had that problem. I think Drive Club had a similar problem where like I just didn't feel any personality out of it. Like it was just sort of there, and it is a shame that Sony pulled the plug on Drive Club as hard as they did, because I think there was potential there. But I don't know what happened there. Like Drive Club seemed like a fine companion piece considering the GT comes out so rarely. But yeah, that's gone, and you can't even buy it on the store anymore. But who knows?
Yep. And someone in the chat, Wampler13, brings up a good point that Forza Motorsport 8 will be on Game Pass. So
yeah.
Sales won't matter for that game like it does for Gran Turismo 7. So anyway, that's the latest update on Gran Turismo. It sounds like Mitch and Matt think it probably will come this year. I would be surprised if it does, but not shocked because there has been enough time. Hopefully Polyphony has learned its lesson with tightening up its development schedules, because it's been an issue for a long, long time. So we'll see. We shouldn't have to wait, like Matt said earlier, we shouldn't have to wait much longer to find out. They should be talking about it here in the next couple months if it indeed is coming for the end of the year. We're running out of time. There's only, 4 months left until launch, basically, of PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X? So.
4 or 5, really. I mean, assume you're going to be late October, early November. But yeah, and I mean, Sony's supposed to have their blowout thing in July. So if it doesn't show up by that July event, I'm going to guess there's nothing there. But if it is there, we'll hear about it by then.